People deluded, I'm back again. Sadly, before I go off to get ready and go to work and things like that, this morning or early hours of the morning, probably 3 o'clock, I don't know why I do this to myself. I was up watching Arsenal's versus Portsmouth under-21s in the Checo trade. It's sad to see that they've gone out of it, but I like to think they can take some positives from out the games they've played, and the academy level definitely would have learnt a lot of lessons. Players individually, collectively, even the manager, because there's only so much you can see of your players playing. Obviously at under 23 level, players that aren't really involved at first team level get to play in it, so you can play older players, but typically you don't really learn the mistakes. You don't really understand the severity of your mistakes, or maybe coaches don't. Obviously, they can understand the level of their players and see how good they are because they're training with them. But when they're playing against, for want of better terms, I don't want to sound old-fashioned, but men's side, proper men's side, people that are fighting for their futures and stuff at their clubs, immediately you can assess the level. So, yeah, we know to win, we have to win. We had to win against Portsmouth, which we didn't, but we had to win to try and keep any hopes alive of progressing out of the group. So, yeah, one positive, Koscielny played, and he played for a decent amount of time, keeping up his, apparently he came off with cramp in what I saw on Arsenal.com, but it's nice to see he's returning from injury, probably won't be involved against United. Maybe he's even pessimistic to even think he can be involved against Huddersfield at the weekend. But going into the game against Portsmouth, or staying back on track with that, no Joe Willock to call on. I didn't see Eddie Nketiah, neither did I see Emil and a couple others. Because maybe that's within regards to travelling for with the squad in regards to United. Tyrese, John Jules, Gilmore, Charlie Gilmore, Zach Medley. I'm missing one more person out, but Saka, that's it, and Osei Tutu. So a lot of players that were either involved, whether they got onto the pitch or just involved in travelling and stuff with the first team to Europa League, which was a good experience for all of them. Freddie Longberg or whoever was able to call upon them again. So yeah, I'll give it to Portsmouth, man. I feel Portsmouth started off very strongly in the first half. I feel we did well from literally kick-off. We earned the corner if I remember rightly, but you could see that there was something different in the air. I'd say throughout the whole game, Portsmouth experienced players, because I mean, these players are 18 years of age max, realistically 19 probably, excluding Bramwell. The experience ages, if you was to compare how many career appearances and stuff of R21s, I keep saying 23s, but R21s to Portsmouth was telling. And I feel, like I said, although we earned the corner, I feel they were all over us in the first half. They were pressing us. I felt we had no real outlet. It looked like we played free at the back. So again, formation changes at this level probably didn't help us. Not too sure on the fitness levels of someone like Robbie Burton, for example. But if there's no Joe Willock or Emil or people you can call upon where you'd say their strengths are from a creative point of view, even Matt Smith, but he played for the 18s, there's gonna be issues. Now, you could see it. We couldn't get onto the ball. We was playing. I could see why Saka looked to be playing up front in theory with John Jules, but it weren't really happening. John Jules was stressed, so was Saka. They were having to drop deep. For me, anyways, it looked like both were having more joy occasionally when they were working the channels. Like in the first half, there was one lovely incident where John Jules he beat someone and then he got his head up and he cut it back, but the cutback wasn't quite good enough and it didn't materialise to anything. And Saka was beating people down that flank when it did happen. You did think the left hand channel, our left hand channel, their right hand channel would be where it would come from, anyways. But like I said, we were stressed from the beginning. Ballard had to make, in the 7th minute or so, we were counter-attacked and he had to make a lovely challenge not a challenge, he had to make a lovely goal line clearance, or it would have been 1-0 there and then. Yeah, they were physically trying to impose ourselves on us. Of course, I wasn't there at the game, but from the footage I've watched in the 90 minutes, it looked like they were just trying to leave little kicks, probably try and discourage us from wanting to play and do these sort of things that Arsenal players are taught to do. That's what it appeared to in my head. If I remember rightly, 10 minutes in, they went 1-0 up. They had a corner. I think it was was it a corner? What's my notes? 10 minutes in, I think it was too easy for Portsmouth to create the goal-scoring opportunity. Another game, another set-piece goal, poor marking. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I'm sure it was a corner. Forgive me if I'm wrong. If it wasn't a corner, it was a set-piece. It's hard to remember all of this. But 10 minutes in, poor play initially for them to earn it, but the ball comes in. Now the man's not properly marked. He heads it back in. You know, it was one of them where he's unmarked, so he gets a good run, but it's the ball from the Portsmouth man's probably a bit too overhit. So to keep it in play, headed it back into a difficult position. Eventually, it's bundled in, and that's where you got to think as professional footballers, because these under 23s or under 21 specifically, they want to make the step up to first team. it's not about ability. Obviously, it's about ability, but it's not about ability now. It's about thinking. It's about being calculated. A lot of that has to deal with the man. I put on the manager as well, because I keep seeing these sort of mistakes in regards to set pieces. These are young, naive players. They take 50% because obviously they're playing, but are they being coached? I think they are in terms of set pieces, but I'm seeing that at all three levels in regards to senior football at Arsenal. So yeah. If the players didn't needed to wake up, I don't feel anyone did, because we started off okay in the initial periods. They are now 10 minutes in and we've been hit by a steam train essentially. Portsmouth are on it. Portsmouth are, give credit where due, they're popping it. I feel we're being brave. I'll give us credit at 1-0 down. We're not cowering away. I feel our midfielders could have got onto the ball and asserted themselves a bit more, because we're playing three at the back. I felt the defenders, while they weren't perfect, one thing they were doing is showing for the ball and wanting to get onto the ball, like you have to do when you play that formation. And you're just looking at the midfielders, especially the central midfielders. You lot got ability on the ball. I wouldn't say brave, but I would like them to drop a bit more, get onto the ball and just dominate that midfield and show why you're an Arsenal player. And these men play for Portsmouth. Second half they did it. First half it wasn't really there. So John Jules and Saka again are being stressed out. Occasionally they're getting joy. Like John Jules is making some good runs, especially off the shoulders of the centre halves, but there's nothing he can do essentially. It's one of them times, and that's probably one of the toughest nights being a striker, when you're making the runs, you're getting touches every now and again, but it's not happening. Saka's probably looking like the player that's going to make something happen on the field for me, because at times he's drifting on the right, he's drifting onto our left, he's picking up the ball, he's playing 1-2s. We're playing all right. Olayinka's doing all right as well. We're actually doing okay in my opinion. Like we need to raise it. Portsmouth are the better team, but I feel we're fighting, we're showing everything. Like you could also see again on the topic of Tyrese and Saka, they looked visibly vexed at times. It took us a while to grow into the game, man, to be honest with you. Like I said, the midfield need to be braver. I did feel maybe I'm reaching and maybe it was a bit soft, but I did feel 23rd, 24th minute, there was a good little play from Arsenal, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm so sure Olayinka was brought down, and I was thinking, is that not a pen, people? It did look soft, but it did look like technically a pen, and if it wasn't Olayinka, it was an Arsenal man, innit? So yeah, one criticism as well, I did think defensively, for the praise I give them from playing out from the back, I felt by the same token we was inventing our own issues. I feel Iliev, his decision making at times isn't the best. He made some good saves, but his throws wasn't the best at times. There was even one incident he came off his line, and I think Ballard patterned it, so he didn't need to do anything. But on another day, like we've seen with Iliev, if Ballard was to miscalculate something and the ball goes behind 11, he's not in the goal, and the Portsmouth striker is awake, he has a shot at a free goal essentially. So yeah, but to be fair, because they're pressing our back three towards the end of the second half, or probably the last 20 minutes, he had no choice. They were just forcing. He had to go long because there was no other options because of our midfield and several other things. Obviously, Saka and John Jules, they're doing all right. They're fighting. They're holding up the ball when they can, but they're physically not as developed as these grown men, essentially. And added to that, they're outnumbered. Like, there's only two of them. There's four defenders. So it's just essentially coming back to... the pressure is just sustaining on us, because literally they're just winning the ball in the air and just going back. So probably that's again, players need to learn when things aren't happening. Obviously, if you're being told to do something by your manager, you're being told, which they were, but this is where it becomes a thinker's game now at this sort of level, man. I didn't feel at times we pressed as a team. John Jules and Saka were pressing very well, but I did feel at times our centre halves was not getting up the field. I feel at times one midfielder was doing one thing, another was doing another. So you could see gaps start to appear onto the football field. These are all natural things, so it's not necessarily a criticism. But yeah, having said that, we were lucky not to concede again. I'm so sure they hit the post in the 29th minute. It was a lovely effort from whoever the Portsmouth lad is. He drove it, and they actually hit the post from a header in the second half. So there was warning signs. 30th minute, there was a lovely ball from Gilmour as well to set up a chance, but it didn't happen. And I was thinking more of that. Gilmour's starting to wake up a bit. He's playing some lovely passes. He looks like the one that's really on fighting these Portsmouth players, because like I said, these Portsmouth players, they were being a bit smart, leaving something on it, and Charlie recognised that and started getting onto them a bit more and doing that. Once we started doing that, it's like the other midfielder recognised that, and we started to have a bit more bravado about us. And I did feel we could have actually scored towards the end of the first half. Don't get it twisted and get me mistaken, because I did feel we could concede a bit more. But second half now, you're thinking, all right, cool. Fair play, but we need to get something out of this game. You don't need to fight. I don't necessarily agree with the formation. or really the personnel, some of the personnel, but it is what it is, and it's a cup competition. We need to fight, and these lot are learning serious lessons. And I'll give credit from start to finish in the second half. It's like these players had enough. They started kicking back. We started pressing. We started physically imposing ourselves. Started playing football. It was end to end throughout. But I felt we was doing it. We was having a bit more of a go of it. We were being a bit more fearless, man to a man. We was committed, making good runs for each other, doing what I normally see these players do. And we deserved our goal. We deserved our goal because we were threatening. Lovely play from Saka. It's absolutely atrocious defending from Portsmouth. Saka is left-footed. If I'm a fullback, the man is left-footed. He's tried to take you down the flank. Don't show him inside. Obviously, his weaker foot is the right, but why would you show him inside so he can have an effort or link up? These are Arsenal players. They want to play neat 1-2s. Saka does very well to keep it alive. There's like 2-3 players next to him. He checks back in. Still's thinking, where's the tackle on him though? He drives forward near the semicircle towards goal and he hits it with his weaker peg and it flies into the far corner. The keeper's rooted to the spot. It's 1-1 now, and our young 16-year-old who made his debut for the first team last week, he gets us back in the game, and yeah, we're looking like we're on this. After that, we looked like we're on it. We looked like we was going to score again, to be fair. We had a couple close chances. Probably, if I'm being cynical, end product, the final ball probably wasn't at the level it is at. But you're thinking we could potentially get something out of this game, in my opinion. But again, last 10, 15 minutes or so, we sadly messed up the game for us. It's 1-1 at this point. 6 minutes from time, it all developed from a throw-in, essentially. It's a lovely 1-2 between the players. It's a lovely bit of play. I did feel it was too easy from Arsenal players because it's a lovely bit of play from the Portsmouth players. Zach Medley, not to name drop because I don't do this at academy level. I'm not blaming anyone, just to paint the picture. Probably is beaten a bit too easy. Not just him, because there's 2 Arsenal players next to him. We're probably all beaten a bit too easily. Ballard's ball watching. I like Ballard, but again, first team level, you gotta know your peripheral. Someone makes a run off Ballard. He's actually unaware. Pardon me. The man who has initially started the move receives the ball back, and he shows our players a bit of quality in the final third, what we need to be doing consistently. It's a lovely low whip drive in the box. A lovely, not too much weight on it. It's lovely. It was a good move, and it was a very good move from the player to start it, and it was a very good move for him to receive the ball. Obviously, played perfectly weighted ball across our area, far post. A Portsmouth man's waited, unmarked. Right, it's 2-1 at this moment. Job done. To be fair, our players didn't look dejected. They fought until the end, but yeah, man, it's a sucker punch because it was a throw-in, two 1-2s essentially. It was a lovely play. We would have been proud of that goal essentially. What can I say? It's a good move. They scored. It's 2-1 at this moment, and we've got a lot to learn. We've got a lot to learn. We're out of the Checo trade, but I'm proud of the lads because they fought. Like I said, they fought. We've had some good moments. Obviously, it weren't too good against Cheltenham. Heavy defeat there, of sorts. We obviously lost today, which is sickening to a degree in the sense that we wanted to win. Good performance against Forest Green. But what we'll all learn from this, essentially, or the players will learn from this, is immediately their level. Obviously, if we was playing Portsmouth's equivalent to the under-21s, under-23s, we'd beat them. We'd probably beat them. They could beat us because anything can happen in football, but we'd probably beat them. But what would these players learn? What would they learn realistically? They wouldn't learn anything from that. They played against, again, for want of better terms, men that are more street smarter, more calculated, more importantly, game management. And added to that, punish them in serious moments. They learn a lot. And I'm a big fan of this competition. And I believe, if it is possible, because I don't know how it works, every Premier League team that is eligible or so should enter their team within that, because it's a good tournament. It sucks to see we're out, but it's a good tournament, man. Playing against people that are just fighting for the league and fighting for whatever they're achieving. Arsenal players. If this was Portsmouth, if this was Portsmouth's under-21s, once the 90 minutes had been done, win, loss or draw, obviously they review their performances and want to get better and stuff. But they wouldn't immediately have a sense of feeling or urge to do that. I guarantee when these players came off that pitch after 90 minutes against Portsmouth after losing this game, they all severely critique themselves. They all can think about what went right, what went wrong. They could all see the importance of, firstly, being switched on defensively from set pieces, and also positioning, because this is the finer margins that obviously is why Portsmouth won and why we lost. I'm proud of the players, like I said, man. I'm proud of John Jules. I'm proud of Charlie Gilmore, Saka, Joe Willock. He didn't play today, but Forest Green, Zach Medley, Ballard especially, because he put in a committed performance, and he's always going to put in a committed performance. And He's probably got the most heart out of all these young players at Arsenal, in my opinion. Like, the guy lives and breathes for the shirt and real honest defender. But this is the lesson, innit? This is the lesson. How many of these players, like I said, would have learned this lesson? So what can we say? All we can say is that we go again. Now, I'd like to think we're still in the under-23s Premier League Division Cup and things like that, where we got to the final before losing last year. Or did we win it? We got to a couple finals last year and then messed them up at all levels. But yeah, man, what can I say? What can I say? Formation probably didn't help us. A bit like against Derby in the under-23s. Well, this is under-21s, but the under-23s, heavy defeat to Derby. Again, probably the formation not helping us, especially for our front men, because they're not really... You can't really do much as a front man if you're not being given the ball. If you're making runs, you're not being given the ball. Or yeah, you can like you saw against Portsmouth. I got to say in the first half, or was it the second? I can't remember. John Jules got the ball and he did one dirty roulette. I was thinking, wait, like if that was me, I would have asked to be subbed if I was the Portsmouth lad, because that looked embarrassing. It was a little subtle one. It was a subtle one, and then someone got the ball and did another skill. That's why I love these guys, man. The bravado, man. Bravado that I wish I had as a footballer. But yeah, on the topic of the strikers, like it's they learn a lot because they have to drop deep when it's not happening. Then they're going long and they're still not getting it. They work in the channels. There's a lot to learn. Midfield would have learned a lesson. When to be brave in midfield. When to isolate midfielders. Why you should stay in position. Balance between the whole back five. When to play out from the back. When to go long. When to shuffle across. When to demand that your midfielders and strikers drop. These little things that obviously they know about and they do it here and there. But immediately they see both collectively as a team what they can improve upon and individually as players, and that's what it's about at this level. If you don't seek to improve in life at any age, and even in specific to football, you'll stagnate. But at this level, it's about improving. It's about completely self-analysing yourself. Nobody's the finished article unless you're Kylian Mbappe, and even he's not essentially. But at this level, when they say no one's complete, everybody has hot and cold games. Everybody's struggling for consistency and they're trying to add consistency into their game. Well, it is what it is, man. I think we've got Liverpool on Friday and Saturday at this level, under 23s more to be more precise. So all we can do is go again, lick our wounds, learn from these lessons, go in training, improve upon what we did in terms of mistakes, and go again and wait till next year. One thing's for sure, we should definitely be in this next year because yeah, I'm a fan of it. Obviously, I don't like the fact that Arsenal didn't progress and we had to hold some defeats. Of course, I feel it for the young players. But this is what it's about. It's about learning these harsh lessons. We would have learned more against this Portsmouth side and this Cheltenham side than any of these players that have predominantly played at under 23 or have excelled at under 18 level for the last couple of years. Because 9 times out of 10, we're winning games. Obviously, we're losing because we didn't win the league. We're not Chelsea, so we are losing games. But 9 times out of 10, we're not really learning anything. I would love for... This is why I believe we need to take a leaf out of Spain's book, and the second string side of Arsenal, this under-21s, under-23s, for example, they should be playing at League 1, League 2 Championship, playing against them sides, whether it's occasionally or in a league, domestic league like them, like in Spain. Because that's the only way they're going to learn, man. Academy football, it's only good for a year or so, and then you stagnate because you're playing against the same people you've been playing against from 9 years of age, basically. More or less the same teams. Obviously, when you're a sick youngster at a sick age, you don't really learn. But, yeah, man, Arsenal 1, Portsmouth 2, Arsenal 1, people. Deluded. I've really got nothing more to say. I'm keeping you lot from whatever you're doing. So, yeah, I'm out at this moment. Thank you.